The Trump Labor Department is looking to get ready to screw over workers by gutting rules that would protect those workers from exploitation and wage theft. Wage theft being, of course, the largest amount of theft in the United States. It ain't no flash mobs that are the problem here. It's your employer stealing your wages. Now, that said, this administration loves wage theft. I'm pretty sure Trump himself is engaged in it. And they announced this month that it planned to change over 60 regulations that they deem were unnecessary. They're unnecessary burdens to business and economic growth, which is to say, they burden these companies by making it harder for them to rob their workers or screw over their consumers. Yeah, pretty much. According to an analysis released Tuesday by labor policy experts at the Century Foundation, senior fellows Julie Hsu and Rachel West and Director of Economy and Jobs Andrew Stetner said that most of the changes reverse critical standards that ensure workers get a just day's pay and come home healthy and safe. So now, what do I mean? What are some examples of labor protections they're gutting? Well, one of them involves home healthcare workers. The department actually plans to reverse a 2013 rule extending minimum wage and overtime protections for those particular workers. Now, I've got some secondhand experience in this industry, and my wife worked in several of these homes for elderly or developmentally disabled individuals. Now, from her experience, I can say that the work is difficult and the pay sucks. Workers, you can't really take days off. The nature of the job, it's 24/7. These people's lives literally depend on the workers. If they're not there, the people don't get fed. They can't make it to the bathroom. They don't get their vital medications. So the work that these workers do is vital. It's necessary for survival. And yet these same workers who are so depended on by the people in these homes, they get paid on average less than $17 an hour. And personally, I have seen lower than that. They don't get any respect either. Stetner told Common Dreams that the changes would, quote, suppress wages and allow agencies to put the screws on workers to work 50 to 60-hour weeks. Again, this is very difficult work, sometimes involving lifting people who cannot walk, who cannot move, who are completely disabled and unable to do anything for themselves. It's difficult. And you're screwing over those workers. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting, but unsurprising. Unsurprising. But it gets worse. The Trump administration is now also rolling back a Biden-era rule that banned bosses from paying subminimum wages to disabled employees. Man, this administration really hates disabled people. They really do. Look, these people, all they want to do is just work. They want to feel useful. They want to have some extra money, feed themselves, help their families. They want to get a measure of independence from being able to work. But instead, what they're going to get is subminimum wages. That's right. They're going to get paid well below the minimum wage. Look, currently only 15 states have banned that practice, which means in the rest of the country, here comes the subminimum wage. Absolutely disgusting. Century Foundation report says that by ending the rule, the Trump administration would once again be relegating workers with disabilities to jobs that pay as little as pennies per hour, which, I don't know, kind of seems like indentured servitude. The minimum wage was supposed to be the floor that bosses, the minimum that bosses were going to be allowed to pay. The minimum wage was also supposed to be the minimum that you can live off of, but we're way away from that one. That minimum has fallen to such an extent that workers cannot live off of that wage. Can't do it. It's $7.25 federally. You need probably $20 to $25 an hour minimum to even survive in this country. So what are we doing? And yet, there is a sub minimum to that gets paid to disabled workers. It's also given to immigrants. And you know why? It's because politicians do not see either group, either of those people, as deserving a fair wage for their work. It's absolutely disgusting. Speaking of immigrants, by the way, the department is also proposing another change to do away with workplace protections for seasonal migrant farm workers under the H-2A visa program. These workers who raise complaints about wage and hour violations will no longer be protected from retaliation. Prior to the rule, it's pretty common for farmers to take advantage of these seasonal employees whose legal status was tied to their work. If you complain about legitimate issues, you would be fired. You would then also be deported afterwards because, again, you're tied to your job. Now, after the Biden rule, the cases of exploitation declined to an all-time low because, again, it banned employers from firing, disciplining, or otherwise retaliating against workers who attempted to participate in collective bargaining. One of the few bright spots of the Biden administration was that he was a lot more friendly towards workers, friendly towards labor. Not in all circumstances, he still broke up the rail strike. But compared to previous administrations, this was still one of the most pro-worker administrations that I've seen in my lifetime, which tells you the sad state. Okay. But anyway, now the Trump regime wants to allow labor to be exploited. Okay. And I mean, like, okay, the Trump organization, they have constantly exploited labor. So, of course, it's no surprise that his labor department is going to try to get rid of all these pesky rules that would prevent that, because they are all about exploiting labor. Now, getting back to the report here, these reforms protected the rights of farm workers in the H-2A program to speak out individually and collectively against mistreatment and prevented employers from arbitrarily firing them from their jobs. So that's the rule that they're going to get rid of. Now, there's more. The department also proposed weakening the Occupational Safety and Health Administration's general duty clause, which allows businesses to be punished for putting their employees in dangerous situations. The proposed change would exempt many jobs that are deemed inherently risky from protection. In fact, the report says, Stetner said, the employer community, they're jumping onto this. They're telling their members to write into the Department of Labor and other inherently dangerous occupations about other inherently dangerous occupations they should exempt from the general duty clause. Of course. The authors pointed out that the administration has previously rolled back restrictions meant to protect workers from heat-related stress on the job, which results in more than 600 deaths and over 25,000 injuries each year. And of course, with climate change, that's only going to get worse. That's only going to get much worse. And finally, the regime is looking to weaken protections for coal miners. After laying off most of the employees at OSHA's research arm, which monitors cases of black lung, earlier this year, it is now weakening safety requirements to prevent roof falls, mine explosions, and exposure to toxic silica. So not only is this administration trying to kill green energy initiatives by pulling all the tax breaks and subsidies and while promoting fossil fuels, but now they're also looking at the workers, what few mine workers are left, and they're putting them in harm's way. And no one here should be surprised. Just like in its first term, the Trump Labor Department is horrifically anti-labor. If you were one of the people that expected them to be for the workers, let's just say that you were vastly mistaken. They do not give a damn about workers. They never did. All they cared about is helping their big corporate donors. As far as Trump's concerned, all he cares about is ensuring that his businesses always have a supply of cheap, easily replaceable, and exploitable labor to make him even more money. Because apparently being that orange ain't cheap. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.